Hello guys, it's Jonathan. Here doing another Bottleman unboxing. This time we finally have Random Collection 3. So it took me a long time to get this because these were very expensive for a long time. Finally got a decent deal on a full set, so there you go, you got all four. Probably could have oriented these better. Yeah, it's just not working. Alright, well, that's fine. So, yeah, I got all four of them. Let's go and open them up to see all the pulls, what you get. I definitely have some things to say about this random collection, by the way. I'll save them till after I've tested everything, though, because I just want to be sure. But for now, let's just go ahead and get everything opened up. So in the first box here, let's see, we have Raid Brave. This is the red version of Raid Brave. See the core, trigger, some of the armor, the targets. I'll get into these in a second and get the caps, hold parts. So basically, these pulls come with targets, which is interesting to note. So, yeah, I guess they'd probably do this to counterbalance weight, from what I could assume. Also sticker sheet and instructions, but yeah. So because CSE Land is just so much heavier because of its magazine, they probably wanted to counterbalance the weight, and that's probably how they did it. And yeah, with Raid Brave you get two of them, so there you go. Next pull here, let's see what we get. Should be a full set, but I guess you never know. Alright, that is Aqua Sports. So this is a yellow recolor of Aqua Sports. There's the instructions and stickers. Core and a trigger, armor, caps, hold parts, and the targets. This time you actually get three of them. So more with Aqua Sports than Raid Brave, which is interesting. I think they wanted to just keep it to 8 from what I could tell. Probably it's an even number, but who knows really. And then I guess we'll do this one next. There we go. This is Life Guardian one. Got the instructions and stickers here. We have the core, trigger, armor, caps, hold parts, and the 3 targets. So there you go. That's all 8 of the targets that you get. And down to our last one. Hoping this is CC Excellion. Which is, of course, a remake of Excellion from Battle Beat'em using CC Leon DX as our base. And yeah, this is a pretty rare Bottleman. It's been very hard to come by, and that definitely looks like it's it. So yeah, that's the proper cap there. The first ever Battle Beat'em remake as well, since it was released before Cobalt Bottle G. All the caps, the hold parts, the cap for the head there. There are the quick loader magazines, have the armor, the core and trigger, and more magazine parts potentially. And then there it is, the instructions and stickers. So with that all done, I'm going to go ahead and put these all together, sticker them up, test them, and compare to the original, just to make sure there's no differences, because if there are no differences in this collection from the original versions, I am going to have a lot of things to say, and they are not good. Alright, I'm back. I have everything stickered up, built, tested, compared to the originals, all that fun stuff. So let's talk about it. First up, we have yellow Aqua Sports DX, or I guess Aqua Sports DX yellow version, whatever you want to call it. So, just a note, I'm going to kind of gloss over all of these pulls very quickly in terms of what they do. I've gone over all of them, both in unboxings and then also the ranking video. Some of these also have been covered in other discussions. I've talked about all 4 of these multiple times, so I don't want to go too far in depth, but I will at least cover what they do. So Aqua Sports DX, you have these rollers, of course used for speed types. You have this magazine, which will give a 3 cap capacity, however, I don't think it works very well still. because you put a second cap in, the third cap, it's just like this. It doesn't stay in very well, so just want to point that out. That's still being a problem. And then also, so this is something I actually do want to highlight, because I kind of misconstrued this before. The feet. They have this little bit of an angle upwards. So what this will do is it makes it kind of go up in the air a little bit more. It gives it a little bit more air time as well. So, to me, what I was trying to get across in previous videos is that I don't think this really does a whole lot personally. And the problem is that, to me, it tilts back way too easily and is not stable enough. I might have made it sound like it's just not stable, or like the whole gimmick was tilting it back. That's not true. To me, it just tilts back way too easily. So that's what I was trying to get across before, but I just didn't. So I want to mention that now. That is one thing that it's supposed to do, but I don't like this gimmick personally. Comparing to the original, I know this is a hot take, but I do like this yellow version better. I just don't really care for the blue they used here, and just kind of the color scheme in general of regular Aquasports DX. I also like yellow quite a bit, so to me this is a really nice recolor. I like the dark blue as well, which, yeah, I think it just looks nice, personally. I like this yellow one a lot, so pretty nice. One other thing to mention, actually, is that this comes with 3 targets. So you have these targets that they come with. You can actually use these caps separately. So I will mention something about this that's kind of interesting at the end of the video, or not at the end, but a little bit later. So yeah, but E3 targets, that's pretty cool, I would say. But yeah, that's Aquasports DX, the yellow version. Next up we have Lifeguardian 1 DX blue version. This one is really nice. Also, I'll just mention it now. It does come with 3 targets as well. There you go. So you get a lot of these targets. And yeah. So here it is. As far as what it does, you use this as a sight, like the ears here. Kind of as a sight, I guess. Also the barrel. It's a shorter barrel, but what this will do is basically it will take off a little bit of power in exchange for some better accuracy. And that's that. It is the same Lifeguardian 1 DX as before. Nothing really to say about it. It just kind of exists. Oh yeah, comparing it to the original though. As far as color schemes go, I've really always liked green quite a bit personally. So I will say this blue one looks really nice though. I think they're about even to me. I like both of them about the same. The recolor does look really nice, so I'll give it that. But I don't know which I like better. After this, we have Raid Brave DX in red. Also, this one is interesting because it comes with 2 targets. I guess maybe the weight or something would have been too much with 3. I don't know why there's only 2. Maybe just to keep it like an even number, but whatever. 2 targets, and the thing I wanted to mention about these targets is that if you actually have all of the pulls here, all 4 of them, and you have the 8 targets, these are caps that you take off and use with the Bottleman if you want to. So CC Land DX, which is of course the next pull, which we're going to get to in a moment, but that has a 10 cap capacity. With the 4 caps it comes with, you could take 6 of these target caps, add them in, you have a full capacity. And then you have 2 leftover caps, which you could put into the Aquasports DX magazine. And with that, both of the Bottlemen with magazines in the box with them will be fully loaded. Just something cool I want to mention that is actually kind of neat about them. So yeah, you could use the caps for that. So it's a good way to get some extra caps, I suppose, but, well, maybe not a good way, but we'll come back to that. So anyway, so here's Raid Brave DX. It's a really cool version, red version. I like it a lot in terms of appearance. As far as gimmicks go, have a little bit of rubber inside here to kind of increase the power of the shots. It's also a vertical core, which, I mean, it shoots caps vertically. I mean, that's what it does. I guess you could use these horns as kind of a sight if you want to, but I mean, yeah, that's basically all it does. It's pretty self-explanatory, but yet, yeah, it is a vertical shooter. Compared to the original, I like both quite a bit, honestly. They both look really nice, in my opinion. As far as which one I like better goes, again, I don't really know. I like them about the same, I would say. So, there's that. And finally, we have CC Excellion DX. This doesn't come with any targets, but that makes sense because I think the targets were just meant to counterbalance weight because of this thing. This is a speed type, which means it has rollers on the hold parts to help the caps come out easier. Also, it is a quadruped for its design, which gives it a much more unique kind of style to it. It can be used like any other Bottleman, though. The parts are interchangeable, so that's neat. Also, you have a quick loader magazine. This gives you a 2-cap capacity, and it can be added onto other magazines, so it's still partially modular. It can be added onto the back of other magazines, but you can't add other magazines onto the back of it, because it needs the special sort of, the special like connecting piece here for these. These hold 4 caps apiece. You get 2 of them. This thing technically has a 10-cap capacity in that regard. If you if you have multiples of these, you can actually stack them on top of each other to just have more of them and have more of these like 4-cap. I don't really want to say cylinders, but I guess like quick loader magazines, quick loaders, whatever you want to call them. They're all part of the same magazine. It's kind of weird in terms of naming, but anyway. So with that, compared to the original, I suppose, because again, I'm just kind of going over all of this stuff pretty quickly here, because again, I've gone over them multiple times. But here it is. I think it looks pretty nice, and this is one where I actually do like the recolor better here. CC Leon, or CC Excellion DX rather, is of course based on CC Leon DX, but it is actually kind of a reimagining of the Bottleman Excellion. That's pretty cool. I think the color scheme here is better than this one. I actually really like yellow, like I said earlier, but the silver with yellow as an accent color, plus you have some black and also like this dark blue. It's just too cool to not like, better. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on every single one. Or not really my thoughts, just kind of going over every single one. I went through it pretty quickly. 4 Bottlemen in about 8 minutes, that's not too bad. Now let's get into my opinions, and kind of some issues I have with them. So first up, I will say that Aquasports DX and Lifeal Guardian DX are effectively the same as they've always been. Not necessarily a good thing, but no real issues with these in general, I guess, just on their own. But yeah, Raid Brave DX, this does have an issue. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Raid Brave DX actually has the ability to use this Dragogena magazine. When you take off the ends of the wings of Dragogena DX, you can make this magazine. This gives it a 3-cap capacity. Putting it on the back here does that, and I guess I'll just grab a couple extra caps here, but put them in like this, and then the third one has the same Aquasports problem where it doesn't stay in very well. I mean, it's not as bad in my opinion, but whatever. And as you saw, the magazine has just fallen off. That is the problem with this thing. They did not fix the core. The original Raid Brave had this problem where this magazine really just does not stay in at all. It just doesn't fit properly. You can't really push it down enough. I mean, it stays in, I guess, when you're shooting. It's, like, usually fine, but it's still not that good overall, though. So it's, like, still kind of garbage. And again, they could have fixed this here. They just chose not to. It's just a regular recolor with no improvements. This is one thing that they really should have done if they were going to reprint Raid Brave DX of all things. I don't know why they didn't. So that's kind of frustrating to see. After this, we have CC Excellion. I have a couple issues here. So first up, as a remake of Excellion, I get why they did it, but I still don't think this is a great base for Excellion. I think that I get the lion motif, the colors, the name, the quick loader magazine. It's all there, but I feel like the quadruped design and like the headpiece, I just don't think it works particularly well for for Excellion. It's not the worst remake I've seen. I still think it's better than Cobalt Bottle G, at least. I think that there's enough here to where I can see it, but I just still don't think it's that great. The other problem is another mold issue. The original CC Land DX had a problem with the head where it doesn't stay on well. Did they fix that? Well, no. I didn't grab it or anything, I just moved it upward with my hand and it fell off. Again, this isn't the worst problem ever. Like, we've had worse. Like, Fusion Black is definitely a worse issue with its mold, but this was still something that they should have gotten right here. But again, they just didn't. Why didn't they? Because they were lazy and they just didn't feel like fixing it and having to make a new mold to fix said issue. Which is very unfortunate because, again, this is a really cool Bottleman. This recolor is really cool, but they just opted to not fix this. So overall, everything's basically the same. They just didn't really do anything, which is unfortunate because some things needed some fixing up. But yeah, so overall, let's just go ahead and take a look at all of them at once here. Yes, we'll try to get them all in the shot here. It's a little bit awkward, but we're managing. Anyway. So, with that, what do I think about this random collection as a whole? If I had to give it an actual score, I would give it a 2 out of 10. The only reason I'm even giving it a 2 is because I will say the recolors are pretty cool looking. That's a plus. But also, I do think that this is a really cool looking Bottleman. I think CC Land DX did deserve to actually get reprinted, so I'm glad to see that it did. That's all it does. There is nothing else that's really all that good about this random collection, in the slightest. It's just not good. So, why is it not good, aside from some of the stuff I mentioned? Okay, so let's look at Random Collections 2 and 3. Random Collection 2 had 2 pulls of Valhas DX, which had a new headpiece and also a unique kind of dual type core, and it reused a lot of Ten Satan's parts, well, Ten Satan DX. A September release. You also had Doc Papillon DX as the Wild Wyvern remake, of course with Bottle Wyvern DX. This was an August Bottleman. Also, Aerosider DX was an August Bottleman. They had a recolor of that in there. Earth Roller DX as well. But Earth Roller and Aerosider are both August releases. But again, they had dual type cores, so they were different than the originals. Even Doc Papillon, I mean, not only was it, a remake, but also it had a dual type core. These were all much more unique. And also, they were all from August or September. Raid Brave DX is from August as well, but it is the exact same as that Raid Brave, and this was released in February 2023. Random Collection 2 was released in December 2022, so it's even longer, and there's no changes to it, unlike the other ones. You then have, of course, CC Excellion DX, which, I mean, yeah, CC Land DX was released in July, and I do think it deserved to get in. It was kind of one of the more, I guess, special releases. Kind of a bigger one, of course, with the magazine and stuff. It was more expensive. So I think getting a reprint is fine, even as is. And then there's Aquasports DX and Life Cardio 1 DX. These things are April releases. April 2022. Older than anything in Random Collection Volume 2. Not only were these released after that, but they also had no changes at all. Why? They at least could have, re-released some dual type cores here to make this somewhat more interesting, but they just didn't. They could have fixed some stuff here, but again, they didn't. I don't know why not, but they just didn't do anything here. Also, the April releases, Aquasports and Life Guardian, these were both 1,100 yen. They raised the price by the time we got Raid Brave to 1,320. And then CC Land was 1980. One Random Collection volume costs $16.50. So it is cheaper than this, but all 3 of these, while you do get targets with them, it's still more expensive than the boosters. That's one of the few arguments I could see someone trying to make for this Random Collection, is that, oh, but maybe people skipped over some releases. Well, you could just get them here then. No, it's more expensive. Yeah, you get targets, but who cares? It's not enough to warrant not only a price increase, but also more difficult to getting these. Again, they're random. You either have to jump through hoops to get them through like a second party, or I guess a third party rather, seller, second hand basically. That's what I was trying to get at. Which might have a markup, or maybe some of these, other pools will be a bit cheaper, but still, it's going to be way easier just to buy these as is. I guess if you're living in the States or something, it's probably going to be about a similar price since you're going to have to order them. But still, it might be more expensive, and it's just generally a lot easier to buy the originals, and these have no differences, so just buy the originals. This thing is cheaper. Cool. But it's way harder to get. Not only is this the prize, and people mark this thing up so badly, but I also feel like the pull rate on this thing isn't very good at all. The cheapest one I've seen on its own was like $80 just for this. You can get CC Land DX for like a fourth of that price. There is no reason to get this for that much more. I can't recommend that at all. It's just not worth it in the slightest. So yeah, there is just no reason to buy this, unless if you're a hardcore collector who wants maybe the recolors or especially this thing. And I feel like that's kind of the problem here. This was a really scummy move. Okay, we got our first Battle Beat'em remake, and at the time of release, this was the only known one. And they put it in this garbage random collection to just sell it probably, and that was kind of it. We didn't know about Cobalt Bottle G at the time. This was our only look into Battle Beat'em being remade. It just felt like a scummy move in my opinion to kind of throw this in here with garbage pulls, and from what I can tell, it's not a good rate either. So yeah, I don't know the exact rate, but it definitely seems lower than these other three. Buying full sets of this thing is just terrible. If you want a full set of this, again, the cheapest I usually see is like $120, and that's not counting shipping, so with shipping it's probably going to be like $150 for all these. No, that's just not worth it at all. It's just not a good random collection in the slightest. There is, like, again, outside of, I guess, the recolors are kind of cool, and yeah, okay, sure. Is CC Excellion DX a great looking recolor? Yes. But it's not worth the price. And again, these are all recolors. There's nothing different. There is absolutely zero reason to buy these, again, unless you're a hardcore collector. This is dog shit. That's all I could say. It just is terrible. You can buy so many other releases. You could buy all four of these on their own, and then a ton of other releases. Like you could buy like Royal Griffin DX, you could buy Dragogena DX, probably like Colomario Energy DX, maybe even throw in like the DX customized set. You can get like all of these things for like the same price as just these four. It's not worth it. I feel like, well, this isn't a subjective viewpoint, of course. I feel like it's still hard to argue in general this is even a decent collection. At best, you can still argue that it's, boring, but maybe, again, you can get some of these things if you didn't have them before, but I feel like I already kind of debunked that, so again, at best, this is just kind of not a great random collection and just something to avoid buying, which isn't a good positive to look at all. That's not really something that should be considered the best I could say about a product. One thing I will say is, since that's basically all to say about this thing, it's just not good at all. It's terrible. But obviously it is easy to sit back and critique, the problems with this random collection. And I don't want to just sit here and critique it and end the video there, so, I'm going to offer a solution, what they should have done for Random Collection 3. There's two ways to look at this. First up, you could argue that they should have just swapped Random Collections 2 and 3 around. If we got this in December, it still would have been bad. Like, yeah, it would have lessened the blow because we wouldn't have Random Collection 2 to compare to at the time. It still would have not been good, though, either. So again, that just kind of lessens the blow, but it's still bad. What they should have done is just made a better Random Collection 3. Keep CC Excellion DX in there, because I think this was actually a worthwhile thing to put in here. Maybe make the rates a little bit better, though, but still. Outside of that, this is fine. It's fine enough, at least. Fix the head piece, though, please. But as far as these three go, get rid of them. Also, get rid of the targets as well. They're a nice touch, but, we don't need them for what I'm going to be suggesting here. So the first thing to suggest is going to be a pure white, like an actual white, Milk Kaiser DX. Not the mint green, whatever they had going on there. Just an actual white Milk Kaiser. And also a black Argreno DX. The blue parts on each of them would be gold. And with that, you can make a white, black, and gold Royal Griffin DX if you get both of them. In my opinion, this would be a very cool thing to see in this random collection. As far as the fourth pull goes, I'd honestly go with Ayawashi DX. Maybe like a dark gray one to kind of go with the theme, since this is a light gray / silver. I'd be going with, black and white for the other two. So I'd go with like a dark gray Ayawashi DX. And since the other ones are all pretty heavy, to counterbalance the weight, I would add in a dark gray Kolomaru head and trigger. With this, not only will we have an Ayawashi DX recolor, but we would also have the means to swap it into a speed version of Kolomaru DX, which would go nicely with the control version from the set that also was kind of paired with Ayawashi DX. There you go. It takes 3 Bottlemen that were all locked in sets, kind of the last ones that were, and brings them into a random collection along with this guy as the prize. This is a much more worthwhile random collection, because not everyone might have bought the set, now you have a means to get these other Bottlemen. They did this with Kerpeps DX, releasing Konai Kerpeps DX in a booster. Of course, as a remake of Konai Cerberus, that was cool. But again, you can get some of these outside of sets now, that's cool. Also, I know that there is one issue with this, is that I don't have a power type. There's 3 speed types and 1 control type in this sort of reimagined Random Collection Volume 3, but to that I say I don't care, because here's the thing. What's better, sticking to having 1 of each type in a random collection, or making a random collection that actually has good pulls? In my opinion, I'm leaning towards the latter. And yeah, to me, this would have been a far more interesting random collection. Again, this is sort of an end-of-line random collection. It's the end of DX. It was the final DX release. This is something that not a lot of people were looking forward to or cared about. But if you put some of these more interesting, pulls in there, I think a lot more people would be, willing to, give these a chance and buy some. Also, especially with the, option to get this remake of CC Land DX, potentially with some better rates. Also, potentially getting a recolored Royal Griffin DX, that's really cool. Plus, you know what, Ayawashi DX may not be the craziest pull, but it's a sensible one, I think. And you at least get a couple extra parts with it. This would have been way more sensible. And also, for Takutomi, this is a much more sensible business move. Reason being, okay, so if you get multiples of something like CCXL on DX, there you go. That's, good collector's value right there if you want to resell, or you can, stack more magazines on top of the Quick Loader magazine if you feel like it. That'd be cool. But what's more is that if you get multiples of Argreno and Milk Kaiser, you can have them displayed separately. So you can have Milk Kaiser and Argreno displayed while also having a Royal Griffin DX displayed. There you go. And if you get 2 Ayawashi DXs, you could have Ayawashi DX and also the Speed Kolomaru DX displayed. So yes, you kind of are incentivized to buy multiples if you want to have all of these forms showing, which would be a good business move, but also it gives a good chance to get some really cool pulls as well. That would have been outside of their sets. It would have been good for everyone. But instead, we get this absolute garbage here. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. This was just bad. For Random Collection Volume 4, I do hope that they do better. Because this was not good. Again, like 2 out of 10. What the hell happened here? This was a giant waste of a slot, a missed opportunity. It was like every sort of waste of potential you could imagine thrown into one disappointment of a random collection here. This was just bad. So hopefully, if they do a random collection 4, I could come in and say that this was an improvement. Although, if it's not an improvement, then there's some serious problems, because I don't know how you can improve from this. That'd be really bad, but hopefully it's decent, I guess is what I should say, not an improvement, because that really should not be a challenge in the slightest. But, with all that said, that is Random Collection Volume 3. This has to be, in my opinion, the worst Bottleman product we have gotten thus far. It is awful. Even though I had some criticisms with Godcap, they at least had some new stuff that they brought to the table. This was just bad, and I've reiterated that multiple times now, so I think that's about time to end the video then, so yeah. Anyways, that's all for this video, so thanks for watching, and bye-bye.